Hey everyone, welcome back. We've got a lot to talk about because winter is about to take a major turn, and I mean a big one. Over the next couple of weeks, we're looking at several different storm systems, some of which are capable of bringing heavy snowfall and significant severe weather. On top of that, we're also tracking another powerful Arctic blast that's going to settle into part of the United States as we head into this weekend. There's a lot happening with our weather pattern right now, and today's forecast is going to break down everything you need to know. We'll cover the storms, the cold air, the severe weather potential, and how this will impact the United States in the coming days. Let's start by talking about the current situation because things are already pretty active across the country. As of this morning, there's a large storm system developing in the southeast, and it's creating a serious threat of showers, thunderstorms, and even some localized flooding. What's even more concerning is the potential for tornadoes today, especially in parts of Florida. The area we're watching most closely for an isolated tornado threat stretches from just south of Tampa all the way down to the Florida Keys. There's also a good chance that we could see some waterspouts forming just offshore. And yeah, maybe even one of those so-called fishnados. It's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on throughout the day. So if you're in those areas, stay alert and be prepared for rapidly changing conditions. But before we get into details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Meanwhile, if we head over to the Midwest, we've got an Alberta Clipper system passing just to the north. This system is bringing a mix of rain and snow showers across parts of the region. And while it's not a major storm, it will add some light snowfall accumulation in certain areas before it eventually moves toward the northeast. In the Pacific Northwest, things have temporarily calmed down after days of heavy rain and snow, but don't get too comfortable just yet. Another round of rain and snow is on the way, set to arrive tonight into tomorrow. This will add even more precipitation on top of what's already fallen during that massive atmospheric river event we've been dealing with for over 2 days now. Now, while today's weather is active, the real story is what's coming in the days ahead. We're about to see some big changes to the weather pattern, and the jet stream is going to play a crucial role in shaping what happens next. Right now, the subtropical jet stream is stretched from the Pacific Ocean through the Gulf of Mexico, and that's helping to fuel the disturbance currently sitting over Florida. At the same time, the polar jet stream, which carries all the cold air, is sitting farther north, and that's where those Alberta Clippers will ride over the next few days. As we move into the middle of the week, the weather pattern across most of the country will stay relatively calm, but that calm won't last long. By the time we head into the weekend, I'm expecting a major dip in the polar jet stream, which will set off a chain reaction of weather events. This dip will allow much colder air to push into the Midwest and the East Coast. And with that cold air in place, we're going to see a series of Alberta Clipper systems bringing more chances for snow across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. But that's not all. While the Northeast deals with those Alberta Clippers, we're going to see multiple storm systems rolling in from the Pacific Ocean as we head into the weekend and into next week. The same first of these systems is expected to arrive on Saturday and Sunday, mainly affecting the Southwest. This one doesn't look too threatening right now. We're mostly expecting showers and a few isolated thunderstorms, but it could become more of a concern early next week. If it strengthens as it moves into the southern plains, there's even a slight chance of some isolated severe weather developing with this system, but we're not anticipating any snowfall from it. The system I'm really watching closely arrives on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, and this one has the potential to be a significant winter storm. We're looking at a large-scale trough moving over the Rocky Mountains early next week, and it's going to be powered by a strong polar jet stream. That's where things get interesting, because when you mix cold polar air with warmer southern air, you get the perfect setup for an intense storm. This system could bring heavy snowfall near the low pressure center, while also sparking severe weather across parts of the southern plain, the Southeast, and the Ohio Valley. Now, I want to emphasize that we're still 8 to 9 days out from this event, so there's still a lot of uncertainty in terms of the exact track, the areas that will see snow, and the strength of the system. But the overall trend is becoming clearer, and confidence is growing that we'll see a large storm sometime in the first week of March. In fact, we could end up seeing more than one major storm during the first half of the month. So this is definitely a time frame to keep a close eye on. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'll be tracking these systems every step of the way and keeping you updated as new data comes in. Looking ahead at the future radar over the next few days, here's what you can expect. Today, showers and thunderstorms will continue moving through Florida, bringing lots of rain and the risk of an isolated tornado, mainly south of Tampa and down into the Florida Keys. Waterspouts, or those so-called fish notice, are also possible just offshore. So if you're near the coast, stay weather aware. In the Midwest and parts of Canada, light snow continues to fall, though most of the significant snowfall is staying farther north in Canada as we head into Tuesday morning. A bit of light snow and rain will move into the northeast on the backside of this latest Alberta Clipper. By Wednesday, another Alberta Clipper pushes through the Great Lakes and northeast, and by the end of the week, yet another one arrives, adding even more light snowfall to the mix. But here's the thing. While these Clipper systems will bring some snow, they're not likely to create any major winter storm conditions. Most of the snowfall will be light to moderate, with total accumulation staying around 3 to 4 inches for most areas. Beyond that, next week is shaping up to be much more active. I think by Wednesday and Thursday, we could be talking about a particularly large storm with the potential for both severe weather and significant snowfall. It's still too early to get into the specific, but there's definitely a growing consensus that something big is coming. Out west, the Pacific Northwest will see even more rain over the next 48 hours, with an additional 1 to 3 inches expected in parts of Washington and Oregon. This is going to exacerbate the risk of mudslides. So if you're in those areas, stay safe and be prepared. Down in the southeast, the Gulf and southern Florida will continue to see rain, with some areas, in particularly the Florida Keys, potentially picking up 3 to 6 inches of rainfall. Combine that with today's tornado and waterspout threat, and you've got a dangerous weather situation developing. Please stay safe, and remember, if you see flooded roads, turn around, don't drown. So what's behind this big warm-up? It all comes down to a massive ridge of high pressure sitting over the western United States. This ridge is responsible for the widespread warmer than normal temperatures we're seeing across much of the country. On the flip side, where you see those blue shaded areas on the map, that indicates the presence of troughs, which usually bring cooler and more unsettled weather. The polar vortex remains well to the north, hanging out near Greenland, which means we're spared from its harsh influence for now. As we go through the week, that warm air is going to keep building and pushing northward. And by Friday, we could even see some record-breaking highs in parts of the U.S. One of the most important features to watch this week is the position of the storm track. With that big ridge dominating the west, the storm track is going to ride over the top of it, moving from southern Canada down into the upper Midwest, through the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and then eventually up into the Northeast. This is going to set the stage for a much more active weather pattern as we head toward the end of the week and into early March. You can really see the impact of this pattern when you look at the precipitation anomaly map. There's a lot of green and even some blue showing up along the western coastline of Canada, including Yukon and British Columbia, as well as across parts of southern Canada and the northern U.S. That signals areas where we'll see above average precipitation, clear sign of the active weather ahead. Meanwhile, east of the ridge, much of the southeast, including Dixie Alley, is looking significantly drier. The one exception is central and southern Florida, where we could see some heavier rainfall developing today. Speaking of today's weather, there are already a few areas of interest. Up in eastern Ontario and Quebec, some light snow is falling, while Florida is seeing widespread rain. Not exactly the sunshine state today. Pacific Northwest is also getting in on the action with some afternoon showers moving through. As we move into Tuesday, that rainy pattern sticks around for Florida, especially in the morning hours, while much of the northern U.S. remains a bit unsettled. However, the deep south stays dry, enjoying that ridge's influence. By Wednesday, we could see a mix of rain and snow around Chicago, and as the week progresses, that precipitation spreads into the northeast. Places like Detroit, Indianapolis, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh could all see rain or snow showers by Thursday. Friday brings another strong Clipper system sweeping down from Canada, delivering a mix of rain and snow across Manitoba and Ontario. Most of the Great Lakes region will see rain, but the upper peninsula of Michigan could pick up some snow as colder air filters in from the north. Now let's talk about the potential for severe weather. While I want to stress that no major outbreaks are expected, there is still the chance for some isolated strong storms. Southern Florida and the Florida Keys could see some thunderstorms capable of producing isolated tornadoes. Meanwhile, parts of South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Western Illinois could also see some storms today, though these are more likely to be your run-of-the-mill, non-severe variety. The Pacific Northwest isn't entirely off the hook either. In parts of Northeast Oregon, Southeastern Washington, and Northwest Idaho, there's a chance for gusty winds, small hail, and even an isolated brief tornado. As far as precipitation totals go, Florida is the big winner, loser, depending on how you look at it, with 1 to 3 inches of rain possible in the south central part of the state. The Pacific Northwest also stands to pick up some hefty rainfall totals. Meanwhile, The coastal mountains of British Columbia could see more than 100 inches of snow this week, a staggering amount by any measure. Looking ahead to next week, early March is shaping up to be very interesting. We'll see this warm up continue. But a deep trough is expected to dive into the western U.S., bringing colder air and a new wave of precipitation. This could spell trouble for areas like Kentucky, Tennessee, and Arkansas, regions already dealing with saturated soil and devastating flooding. Unfortunately, more heavy rain could be on the way. We'll also be keeping a close eye on the potential for severe weather and heavy snow around the March 4th timeframe. Depending on how the models evolve, we could see a major winter storm develop to the north and significant severe weather to the south. So there's a lot happening in the days and weeks ahead. I'll be here to keep you updated every step of the way. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel for all the latest reliable and accurate weather information. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe.